Hello and welcome, boys and girls and grown-ups as well. Here I am, sitting at the gate of the Windsor Castle, the oldest continuously occupied castle in the world. Meow! They started building it 950 years ago. If I told you each year of the history of this castle in just 10 seconds, this video would be more than 2.5 hours long. Well, I will not tell you the entire history of this beautiful castle. Yes, I strongly recommend you to visit this place when visiting London because Windsor Castle is just 8 miles or 13 kilometers from London Heathrow Airport. After the Romans, led by William the Conqueror, came to England in 1066, they started building fortifications in this place in 1070, which is 950 years ago. Since the time of Henry I, the castle had been used by the reigning kings and queens until today. Over the centuries, new buildings, walls, gates, and towers were built. When you look at the castle by a bird's eye, you can see that the castle is really very, very large. This is just the castle, not mentioning the gardens and the park. The castle consists of two main parts, Upper Ward and Lower Ward, with the big round tower between them. Meow. In 1070, they had just wooden walls and small wooden buildings. Later, they built thick stone walls, and in the middle of the 13th century, King Henry III later built a beautiful and luxurious royal palace within the castle. King Edward III went even further. He was born at the castle and he loved this place. He spent a lot of money rebuilding and expanding it. In total, he spent £51,000 during almost 30 years of building and renovating. In today's money, it is approximately £33 million, which is almost $44 million. Meow. Since then, Windsor Castle was several times rebuilt and remodeled. We can say Windsor Castle was favored by all monarchs of England and later Great Britain and later the United Kingdom. In the 16th century, Windsor Castle began to be used for international diplomatic events, including the grand visit of the Spanish King Philip I in 1506. In the 16th century, Queen Elizabeth I spent a lot of time here at Windsor Castle and built the North Terrace, including the steep protective ground. Queen Elizabeth I used Windsor Castle more and more for diplomatic meetings and negotiations. She quickly found out that this castle in her time was not as large as royal palaces in other countries. The growing number of foreign guests and visitors inspired William Shakespeare to write a play named The Merry Wives of Windsor. In the 17th century, King Charles II paid very much attention to renovation and expansion of the castle. He was strongly influenced by the style of the French King Louis XIV. Queen Anne, who became Queen of England in 1702, liked the Windsor Castle very much as well. She focused on gardens and called a famous English gardener by the name of Henry Wise to the castle. She also loved horses, and therefore she established the famous Royal Ascot racecourse and started the tradition of the annual Royal Ascot procession from the castle. King George IV was another monarch who spent a lot of money renovating and expanding the Windsor Castle. In 1824, he created a budget of £300,000. In today's money, it was about £18 million or $24 million. He called a famous architect of his time, Sir Geoffrey Wyatville, to do the job. The towers were built higher, the royal apartments were rebuilt or remodeled, new towers were built, the big round tower was made bigger, and so on. At the end of the whole story, King George found out that he was well over his original budget of £300,000. He spent more than £1 million in his time. It was a colossal amount. In today's money, it was almost £70 million or $95 million. Meow. Queen Victoria became queen in 1837. She made the Windsor Castle her principal royal residence. Although she preferred Balmoral Castle in Scotland at the very beginning of her reign, the Windsor Castle soon became her number one. The rapid growth of the British Empire in the 19th century and the Queen Victoria's close family ties to European royal families made Windsor the key venue for many diplomatic and state visits. In 1861, here at the castle, Prince Albert died. Prince Albert was Queen Victoria's husband. She loved him very much, and therefore she was mourning for many years. When she was in the Buckingham Palace in London, she felt to be at work, but here at Windsor Castle, she was at home. During World War II, the Windsor Castle became a home and refuge to many staff members of the Buckingham Palace. London was bombed in those days, and the probability of hitting the palace was very high. In 1952, Princess Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth II. The same as Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth also made the Windsor Castle her principal royal residence. She also likes spending time at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. During her reign, many renovations of different parts of the castle were made. It was November 20th, 1992. The private chapel of the northeast corner was being renovated, and one of the spotlights used by the workers set fire to a curtain by the altar early morning. The firefighters were fighting the fire for 15 hours. 9 rooms were completely destroyed, and about 100 others were heavily damaged. The firefighters had to use more than 5.7 million liters of water, which is about 1.5 million gallons of water to kill the fire. Shortly after the fire, a large and intensive renovation began. It was completed in 5 years, in 1997, and the costs were £31 million. In today's money, it would be £65 million, which is about $85 million. Meow. When you come to visit the castle today, not knowing that, you would never guess there was a fire here back in 1992. This year, in 2020, the Queen moved to the castle in March when the virus crisis started, and since then, she is staying here to stay safe. Well, she hasn't invited me for an afternoon tea so far, and I know what the problem is. Two problems, in fact. She likes dogs more than cats, and I like coffee more than tea. Meow. Okay, no big deal. I will be very happy to hear from you, boys and girls, and grown-ups as well. Write me in the comments, watch my videos, follow me on social media, and see you very soon in my next video. Cheerio!